You alright, mate? Just before we get into the show, just wanted to thank you for listening to the show. I wanted to remind you that there's a Patreon if you want to, chuck us a couple of quid as a little thank you, or, as a little bit of, make the show better. Here's £3. Well, it's up to you, There's also a Redbubble if you fancy some t-shirts in that. There's one with Mothman with his cock out. There's one with Mothman without his cock out. And there's a load of the taxidermy stuff now on t-shirts and quotes from other people that they've said to me online and that when they've been giving me abuse. I'll let you get into the show. You're right, guys. I'm the world around you, and this is Pause for Thought on Threshold FM. And we're kind of revisiting a topic that we covered quite a while ago in probably one of the first 6 or so episodes we did. Not properly going over it again because that'd be pointless, and it's not because there's been new discoveries, although there are constantly new discoveries in this field. Now, it is a difficult thing to look at and look into because stuff like this plays with my head a little bit. And whilst reading for this show, I actually had someone walk past my window and they said my name, only my first name, but it probably freaked me out. No, we're not talking about gang stalking. Obviously, this week, it's all about ghost animals, mate. Let's have a song, and then we'll get freaky with some feathery and furry friends from beyond the grave. This is Swarms, Bugsy Malone, and M24 with payslips. Most, if not all, of the research this week is going to come from a book that we've also used in the past in other episodes. The book's called Ghosts and Spirits by John and Ann Spencer. And it's a good book, there's not many pictures in it, which makes sense because it's got to be hard to photograph a ghost, ain't it really? And I'm guessing we don't have the technology as of yet. I know that we did for a little while to take pictures of ghosts. I think it was a brand of Polaroid camera that was called the Spectre or the Spectator or something, and or the film was called the Spectre Roll or the Spectre, something like that anyway, and it could apparently take pictures of ghosts. But so we're not going to focus on Polaroid cameras though, because that's a whole different thing there, like Polaroid versus Kodak. Did Polaroid actually want a 14-month year, but George Eastman from Kodak wanted a 13-month year. Which camera company is in the right? But still, completely irrelevant. So, with the ghost animals and that, I know you have probably heard of ghost dogs because they seem to be the most common one, and I'd heard of them when I was a kid, and that used to freak me out. My mum used to get me to watch TV shows about them. But there's actually this whole menagerie of creatures available in spectral form, exotic, domestic, and even ones that are yet to be discovered, mate, like the yellow monkey. Now, this yellow monkey, it's a ghost that haunted Drumlanrig Castle in the 1700s, and it mostly rested in a room that was actually called the Yellow Monkey Room. So that's a bit of nice, it's a nice bit of foreshadowing there, innit, from the owners of the house to call the room the Yellow Monkey Room. So did they beckon the Yellow Monkey ghost in by calling the room that? I'm not too sure because we couldn't find anything out about that when I had a look. I'm saying we, I mean me and you, the listener. I don't have a help record. I don't have any help with these. This is all my own research. But I couldn't find anything that said they called it the Yellow Monkey Room, which beckoned in the yellow monkey. So there's a good chance that the yellow monkey was already there and they named it after the yellow monkey ghost. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure. But what I do know is that there weren't many yellow monkeys in existence then, because there's not many yellow monkeys in existence now. Spider monkeys, they're kind of yellow. Gibbons are also kind of yellow, but I think a gibbon's more of an ape. And if there's anyone that's ever going to be pedantic, it's going to be ghost hunters. Now, there is a part of me that's wondering if yellow could also be amber, which today's language is seen as orange. So maybe it could have been an orangutan though, it seems a bit big to be running around a castle, a Scottish castle in the 1700s. Very hard to imagine an orangutan running around in there. I don't know what the travel through Asia was like at the time and how easy it would be to transport an orangutan. But maybe as we've aged as a species, as humans, there's a chance that over the past 400 or however many years, maybe our eyes have learned how to see more colours, or maybe, right, we've evolved the other way. So instead of seeing more colours, we now see less colours because our environments have become more and more sterile with less colours in, and now we see less and less colours, forever switching off those genetic codes inside us to see colours in order to open up a new part of the brain to be able to see more ghostly apparitions and ethereal entities in our future. And could that be why we've started seeing more and more different types of creatures rather than just ghost dogs, and that we now see other things? And like over the past 500 years, there's been more than 14 different types of ghost animals that I can find details of. I mean, you know, you've got loads of ghost dogs. There's loads of ghost dogs. Then you've got domesticated cats, cheetahs, tigers. I read about a cobra. Different types of birds. There's probably a lot more than 14. There was small birds, ravens, crows, a specific type of butterfly, horses, brown bears, frogs, ghost frogs, a ghost puma, and even an octopus that I read about. And the octopus, mate, that's a pretty good one, that. In a book called The Ghostbuster by Reverend J. Alwyn Roberts, he talks about his mate that's only known in my notes as WR, and how he once spent a night in bed with an octopus. Now, not in the traditional sense, though, because this octopus was some form of ghostly creature. We'll call him William for the sake of making it easier. It's easier than WR. It makes it a bit easier to follow, doesn't it? And not, you know. So, Billy was lying in bed one night, and he saw a creature that was blacker than the dark black hole of his fireplace, almost like it was illuminated just in this really dark light. A shadow, but light, if that makes any sense to anyone. That's from like almost a direct quote. But he didn't see it until he felt the octopus breathing and heard a pulsating noise being emitted in the room. So I imagine that's a with a sort of like that. I would imagine anyway, just using our imaginations, you know. Now, this made Will wake up properly. Like he came to, you know, he was looking around and that, and he was like, oh fucking hell. And what he claims that this octopus that he could see had white, watery eyes, and he was fucking adamant, guys, that this tentacled spectacle was trying to kill him with its own eyeballs, which kind of ties in my opinion, with the Men in Black or the Black-Eyed Children, except the eyes were white, but with the Men in Black, the eyes always look painted on, but seem quite intense. And I know that Men in Black and obviously the Black-Eyed Children have black eyes and that in it, but they're a little bit similar with the threatening presence and that. Almost like they could be the same thing, just in different forms, maybe at different ages or something. I don't know. Or maybe, you know, the Men in Black have pets, just have pet octopuses, you know, because they're weird creatures, innit? So why wouldn't he have even stranger pets? And maybe the pet octopus could make a Man in Black seem normal. You know, he's like, oh, you know, he's fucking like that fella with the emu. It seems completely normal for that fella to be walking an emu, but you wouldn't expect the Men in Black to have a ghost dog as a pet. You would expect them to have something weird, like a squid, maybe, you know, because I can imagine a squid could probably fly if we was allowed to allow it to. If we would take it out of the water and throw it around a bit, and we did that every day with a whole breed of one species of squid, surely they would sort of eventually evolve to be able to glide through the air. Anyway, Will claims that he was able to pray away this octopus from the house, and apparently was never troubled by it again, thanks to his prayers. So, you know, fucking signing a cross and thoughts and prayers and that, you know. Now, an octopus, if you think about an octopus, they can camouflage pretty well in it, and they're insanely smart. Vicious killers, possibly telepathic, can walk on land and might be able to fly, though there are no recordings of this ever happening, and they're believed to be one of the most evolved life forms on the planet. So let's imagine for a minute that dinosaurs were real, and that they did evolve into reptilian humanoids that live under the surface of Earth, you know, after causing their own demise during a nuclear war with the Martians. And could that mean that the octopus could be above the reptilians, the Dracos, in the intergalactic hierarchy? We're always taught that these big corporations are all working together or all owned by the same guys. Well, what if that's sort of an allegory? The saying, fingers in many pies. could be the biggest hint that we have towards this. It would be a lot easier for an octopus creature to have its tentacles in many pies, because those tentacles are mostly able to act independently of each other, all whilst being connected to the head. That's still in charge of each and every tentacle attached. But who's in charge of the octopus, guys? We may never know. Let's have a song. This is Nas, Freddie Gibbs and Corday with Life is Like a Dice Game. Now, I know I can speak for many of us in it when I say that most of us have never seen an octopus in the bedroom. And I know there's bound to be one or two of you that aren't fully convinced in the existence of these spectral pets anyway, so I thought I'd introduce a place to you called Borley Rectory. Obviously I'm not going to do a place, right, that accordingly to at least 3 authors that I'm aware of is the most haunted place in the whole of the UK, right? Or at least the most scrutinised area in the UK by paranormal investigators. And it's a better jumping off point for the topic really than ghost octopuses, octopies, maybe. I don't know what the plural is, but it's better anyway. It's a better place to start. So because we can all imagine a house, right? And inside that house, we can imagine there being a dog, and we can imagine there being people, right? So it's not too difficult to imagine those people would leave their dog to roam the house whilst they're sleeping or out in the garden tending to the bushes. So the next logical step is that the owners of these dogs that died generations ago have left their dog to roam not just the hallways, but the entirety of space and time and all. It's also easy to imagine the sort of noise a dog would make as it steps. It's like a little plotting noise, plodding along, or maybe the claws scratching against the laminate flooring or the tiles, and you've got to imagine what it would be like to hear that sound whilst you're not trying to imagine that sound. Okay, so let the intrusive canine creep into your life. Lead it in. Harness the power of imagination. Let it bowl you over. Pause for a moment and appreciate the large footsteps of a dog walking behind you. And that's just one of the paranormal phenomena that happened at Borley Rectory. But the dogs seem to be everywhere though, mate, and they go back as far as at least the 1500s. Now, they do tend to be an omen, which is usually a sign that something bad's about to happen. In this case, almost imminent death. It's weird though, because although these dogs are seen to this day, like still by people, like someone probably saw one yesterday, but they might not have had a chance to tell someone that they saw it because they died. Someone might not have been in the room with them. So when your nan or whatever's dying alone in a living room, and she's seeing these dogs and she's got no one to tell, she could have been telling you about it. Do you know what I mean? Or your granddad or whoever's close to you that's died, that might elicit an emotional response that'll make you think, I'm going to listen to the rest of this because I want to see where he's going. Now, it could be, right, that these dogs could still be seen by those people. Or is there a more modern day hallucination now that precedes death? Dogs have now become so ubiquitous in the Western world that these possibly demonic entities have began to change form, let's say, and instead of taking a visual, ethereal form, they keep with the phantasmic side of things, but less phantom and more phantasmia, olfactory hallucinations, like the smell of toast. Scientists try to make you believe that this is called a quote-unquote stroke, but I put it to you that the whiff of burning hovis when there is no hovis to be burnt could be a sign that the ghost dogs have learnt how to adapt. There's a part of me that thinks that all these creatures are all the same creature, just using our inbuilt perception filters to be seen or to not be seen, and maybe those inbuilt perception filters aren't actually inbuilt. Maybe that's down to what the greys have made in order to manipulate our minds and hypnotise us, kind of thing. Maybe they're using that, and maybe the greys could be the dogs, but I'm not overly sure. But for example, though, to try and show you these perception filters and how they work, I heard that more modern Bigfoot sightings are now linked to seeing moths before and after the sighting of the Bigfoot. or the hearing of the Bigfoot, you might see a moth around. But what if that Bigfoot is the moth, just being less intrusive, or maybe a little bit more sneaky, maybe even playful, a little playful Bigfoot? Think about when you're alone, right? You see more moths when you're alone than you do when you're with other people. How often do you really see a moth when you're with company? And how can you prove that your mates can see the moth that you're looking at? Realistically, there's no way to prove that. Now, if we all see a different rainbow and different colours in the rainbow, how can we be sure that every moth that we see are even fucking real moths, mate? It would explain why moths are attracted to bright lights and all, because a lot of Bigfoot sightings are seen alongside lights in the sky, or they accompany the landing of well-illuminated spacecraft. So maybe there are a possible larval state, a larval form of Bigfoot or ethereal creature, or maybe even a higher level of creature than the elusive Bigfoot. A creature that can truly interact with the world, chewing on clothes, destroying curtains, and scaring one of my actual childhood friends to tears. So, if these ethereal entities could be moths, then how do we know that these ghost dogs aren't also the big cats that are sometimes spotted on the moors and in parks in the UK? Now, some people might try and tell you that it's only ne'er-do-wells that see big cats, like fucking doggers, drug dealers, stalkers and the like, and the only reason that they see the big cat is so that people don't ask why they're hanging around in a heathland in the middle of the night, But these big cats might be so hard to find because they're the same creature, mate, as a Bigfoot. Just seen through the lonely eyes of a woman that's waited 3 hours in a car park to have a train of 15 different men run through her. I'd bet, that lady there's into cats because she must be lonely. So maybe these creatures present themselves as something that you're comfortable seeing, except because they might not fully understand the human psyche, maybe they think to themselves, they really like cats, so I'll make myself into a fucking massive cat. She's gonna love that. Not knowing that it's actually quite a haunting experience for the observer. They just mean well, they might mean well, Now, that's not to say that I'm right about any of this, because there have been ghost cats that have been seen that aren't just a black mass. One example is a puma that was seen in Surrey, though I guess that doesn't really work because a puma's just jet black when it is alive. There's another one though, tigers. We'll do tigers. Tigers though, because tigers have patterns and that in it. They got stripes, like the old saying goes, a tiger can't change its stripes, and it's the patterns of these tigers which makes this one kind of believable. Well, they're all believable, but I put it to you that you might find it more believable. There was a woman, right, who was known to be able to see dead things, like that weird kid that's in Steven Spielberg's Artificial Intelligence when he was in that other film with Bruce Willis. Now, the lady could feel a weight on her legs while she was in bed with her husband, who I think was pretty ill, probably on his last legs. Maybe not quite smelling the toast yet. Maybe that could be the rest of that well-known phrase, though, wake up and smell the roses. Maybe the full phrase that we've forgotten is, like the jack of all trades, master of none is still better than a master of one. That's the full phrase. But maybe the full phrase of wake up and smell the roses is wake up and smell the roses, or fall asleep to the smell of toast. That could be also a t-shirt by the time you're hearing this episode. Anyway, her and her husband, right, were in bed, and he's possibly dying, and she feels the presence of a creature literally lying on her shins, and it turns out, right, to be a fucking ghost tiger. Now, this shocks her husband a little bit, not particularly because there's a ghost tiger, because he must have known that his missus was weird, but it seemed to surprise him that she was seeing specifically a tiger. So he asked her to describe the patternation of this tiger, which he concluded was the exact same as the tiger that he raised as a child, which does add credence to my idea that these creatures try to present themselves in a way that makes sense to you, the observer. Or it could have actually been his mate, Tony, from his childhood, the tiger that he reared. But, what's more likely, innit? Like a dead tiger that's waited around and managed to travel halfway around the world to watch his old mate die in front of him, which feels kind of weird and perverted almost. Not in the, ooh, what you wearing kind of way, just in the shit, that's dark kind of perverted. Or is it that these apparitions are actually some form of higher being interfering with our brain chemistry to try and make contact with us? Well, I have more proof of the second, and it's this bloke from Scotland that saw a ghost frog, which I do feel like I've spoken about this before, either on Truth Seeking with Jimmy or maybe on another one of my shows. I'm not too sure. I've got so many notes, and I'm not reading through them all for every episode. It would take far too long. But I could have just been talking to someone recently about it, but I only really talk to checkout staff at the minute, so I can't imagine how I would have shoehorned this one into like casual conversation with a stranger, especially with fucking contactless payments now that you can pay up to 45 quid on them. Barely any time to tell people information anymore. But anyway, this guy in Scotland, he wanted to prove that he was a good shot with his rifle, so he ordered a couple of what I presume must have been his staff, right, to go and do something in the distance. Then he shot them both dead to make a point or to win a bet or something, I forget. But about a week later, his life started to get a bit weird, and it all started when this giant frog appeared. Now, in my mind's eye, it's a bit like the Loveland, Ohio frogmen in a way, but more like of a giant humanoid frog. But I've got no evidence of that at all. It's just how I imagine it in my head. Either way, though, this frog was now knocking about with John, which was the Scottish man's name. Whether John wanted the frog there or not, the frog were with him. Slowly driving him mental as well, driving him towards the edge. And at one point, he locked this black frog up in the local cells to keep it away from him. And it's got to be worth mentioning that others couldn't see the frog. Only John could see the frog. Or maybe they could see the frog, and it was a bit like the Emperor's New Clothes kind of thing, where the Emperor's got no clothes on, but they might have thought to themselves kind of the same way, in the sense that, fuck that guy, this is for Paul and Simon, you nasty cunt, yeah, but there's no frog, what are you on about? Pretended there was no frog creature around just to try and drive him mental because he'd killed some of the friends. But I doubt that anyway, because if he'd killed the friends, why would you wind him up? Because then he'll just kill you. He killed them for no reason. He's bound to be able to kill you for a reason. But then again, maybe they could see the frog because there was this one night, right, where it kind of comes full circle. You find out that there was a really bad storm one night, and the locals called upon John and his mystical frog friend to help guide a ship through a storm, which he did, and he managed to do it thanks to the directions that were given to him from the black frog. So maybe they all could see the frog. Maybe they controlled the frog, possibly, or maybe it was a way for a very loyal and possibly unsettled populace to somehow manage upwards in society and try to help the big boss man come back to reality and help him stave off the guilt of needlessly killing two blokes that probably worked for him. Anyway, let's have a song. This is You Don't Know by Jay-Z and M.O.P. If you're enjoying the show, mate, go to my website, www.worldaroundyou.com, and try the books, mate. Try the books, you might enjoy them. There's How to Date an Antique Table, A Lover's Guide, which is a book about how to date an antique table from a lover's perspective. It's got chat-up lines, pick-up lines, fucking dating tips, where to find a nice antique table to bring home, for your mum. Then I've got Uneducated Guesses, which is the first book I ever wrote, which is a load of big words I don't know the meaning to. I just broke them down and tried to work it out and illustrated it. And then we've got the newest book, More You Know, which is a book of fake facts, mate, all illustrated. I think if you've enjoyed this, if you've laughed at any point during this, you'll probably enjoy them. They're about £2.50 on the website, and sometimes they're reduced. There is something else, though, not just guilt and some form of underlying mental health condition that ties all of these events together. And we did touch on it there with the Black Frog of Scotland ever so slightly, and that's fucking lightning storms, mate. More specifically, though, ball lightning, which is something that we discussed in the last episode about ghosts, if you remember that ball of fuzzy light coming down the chimney and scaring the kids. But I know a tiny bit more about it now. And it's not just ball lightning, but also balls of fire as well. One example of this is a wagon driver. I can't remember where it was right now, but he ran a ghost dog over, and upon impact with the ghost dog, the dog exploded, right? Fucking destroying the wagon, sending it fucking flying, and the dog with it. No remains, which isn't surprising. There is remains of the wagon, but not of the ghost dog, because you're talking about ghost dogs, that they might not actually be there as what we think they're there. And it's not like they're going to piss up the side of the wheel or anything, before they run away. But there is actually a story of a ghost dog that did leave something behind, and it kind of relates to the idea of the big cats as well on British moorlands, because it's in a place called Dartmoor, which is a place known for its ponies that roam free, and which a lot of people probably think are the big cats. It's just a pony from a distance, possibly, or maybe a deformed horse. Maybe they're not ponies, maybe they're deformed horses, and in a distance, in the dark, they could look like a giant cat, like a tiger, prowling along the floor. But I really doubt it. It seems a bit far-fetched. But anyway, this farmer on Dartmoor, he tried to stroke a ghost dog. But this seems to do something to the ghost dog, and it spewed up vaporised sulphur before it ran off into the distance and exploded, leaving nothing else in this plane of existence except a possibly confused farmer with what could only be described as foul-smelling hands. But I would imagine that this says less about ghost dogs and more about the farmer's wife's personal hygiene. If the farmer was able to try and pet the dog and the smell of his hands made the ghost dog throw up, Now, from what I can tell, it seems the old smell my fingers trick seems to prolong your life as well, because this farmer, from what I can find, didn't die. Now, usually these ghost dogs are seen on beds of the people that are dying, and less so on the hills of the southwest heathlands. Now, there's another ghost dog as well that's kind of similar, that left the smell of brimstone in the air and left fire where it had travelled. Now, to me, the smell of sulphur means brimstone, so a direct link there. Fire and brimstone, they're often associated with the Christian hell, so maybe take it with a pinch of salt. Maybe it's not true if they're trying to link it to hell, because there's no evidence of hell, is there? No evidence of heaven, but we have evidence here of ghost dogs and that, because we've got people that have seen them. We haven't got anyone that's seen heaven or hell. But there are also things that are directly associated, the brimstone, the fire, the sulphur, right? All of that is directly associated with dragons within Western European folklore. So could the dragons have also been an iteration of whatever Bigfoot, Greys, reptilians, fucking tall whites, Nessie, fucking chupacabras, all of these things, the fairies and that, and what about fairies? If you've been listening to all these shows and you've been possibly taking your own notes throughout these shows, then you might be able to flick back about 8 or 9 pages in your notes and see that there's a good chance that the aliens that we recognise today are the same things as the changelings and the fae of the past, just in a new disguise. Like how on games, you can play the same character, the same person, but you can look like a totally new person or creature. Maybe you can put in a cheat code that turns you into like a fucking shark, but you're still the person. And in the cutscenes, you just see a shark, but they still talk like the character, and it doesn't affect your playthrough of the game at all. Maybe that's the way these creatures look, maybe it's completely irrelevant how they look, and what matters is that they exist, and it doesn't matter if they look like shadows or your childhood friend or the ghost dog, well the ghost of a dog you never knew. They're there, they're there. Not like they're there, like calm down, like they are there, like knocking about. And if you live in Suffolk, though, right, if you live in Suffolk, they're not just knocking about, mate, they're fucking knocking you over and all. According to my readings, a lot of these ghost dog sightings in Suffolk result in the observer actually getting broken ankles. Now, they're not all black dogs, though. Some of the dogs that have been seen seem to resemble dogs that the people have had in the past. So that could be more of a sort of time stamp or a recorded haunting, if you like. But one that definitely isn't a sighting, and hearing of a shaggy coated dog. I don't know how to word this. I've worded that terribly. So I'm trying to get across that this is another type of ghost dog. Rather than the black ghost dogs, there seems to be another type of ghost dogs. I would say there's 3 types of ghost dogs, as in the creature, the ghost dog, and then you can also have ghosts of dogs, basically. So if you're sticking with me there, so this one isn't this one isn't a ghost dog as such. This is a different species of ghost dog. This is a shaggy coated dog, a lot like the Dulux dog, and every step it would make would make a splashing sound. So did Dulux, the paint company, did they know this? Basically, that's my point here that I'm trying to get to. Well, guys, I did a little bit of investigating, right? And it turns out that Dulux started in a place called Stowmarket, which, as luck would have it, is in Suffolk, which is incredible, really, because I didn't know that before I looked this up. But there are a lot of ghost dog sightings in the area. Now, unfortunately, though, this shaggy variety that I was about to discuss was actually seen in Burnley, which is fucking miles away. It's nowhere near Suffolk. But it's still interesting, though, that these things all kind of connect with each other. Do you know what I mean? Now, Dulux is one of the biggest paint brands that I can think of. So what if by using the dog imagery, they were actually producing what we see as paint? And to us, it's just paint. We paint our houses with it, but in reality, the chemicals in the paint react with the sulfur that these creatures emit, and it protects the buyer of the painting. That would explain why there are so many different colours of paint available, mate. They needed to make this product as desirable as possible to everybody in the country in order to protect as many people as possible. But I've got very little to almost no evidence of this. It's pure conjecture. So we'll get back to what we know. And sticking with Suffolk, in 1577, on a stormy Sunday morning, the 4th of March, actually, to be exact, a load of people were hiding in a church to weather out the storm. And then this ghost dog appeared, mate, and bolted down the aisle of the church, fucking pew, pew, pew. It struck 3 of them, right? At least killing 2 of them outright and turning the third from a fucking human being into a fucking human raisin, mate. Now, we know when it happened because it also destroyed the clock in the church, whilst also scratching up the doorways, metalwork, around the doorway, like the door handles and the stonework around the door frame, almost like a dog that really wanted to escape the consecrated grounds of the church. Now, I'll be dead honest, I don't quite know what consecration is, but I do think it's weird that there's a lot of these ghostly happenings at big fancy buildings and churches. And I was wondering to myself, and I'll share it with you guys, because why not? You're probably the only people in my life that'll listen to me about this. Is it because these buildings are built by rich people who know how to read and write? Not in the way that they can read and write so they document these happenings, but because they could have read older texts to learn that these locations have special powers or access to portals that reach into another universe or plane of existence. Let's have a song. This is Momentum by Russ, Black Thought and Benny the Butcher off of the album, Russ's album Chomp. Now, to say that these people are intelligent in these big houses is an understatement, innit? One of the ghosts I read about is of a horse in a house, but upstairs. And the story goes that the horse died because its rider decided he wanted to see if he could make this horse run up a staircase. Now, unfortunately, apparently the horse fell over on the staircase with the rider on top. They fell through the banister and they both fucked it basically when they hit the floor. Now, I'd guess the horse probably got seriously injured and couldn't get back up, and the idiot got crushed by a horse. But I can't be sure exactly how they died, but I would have thought the impact of a horse falling on top of you as you fall off a staircase would probably be enough to at least kill the person. But there was a soldier that said after staying in that house with a bunch of other soldiers, there was evidence of the stairway being damaged by something heavy. They also said that they could hear horses approaching the house, and then when they'd open the front doors to have a look at what, if there was a horse out there, because they had to be careful because there were soldiers, they could hear the horse approach the house, even though there was no horse. They would hear the change in is it cadence? The noise as the hoof hits the ground. I think that's the word for that. Not crescendo, because that's when the sound builds. I want to say cadence of the hoof, but I'm not sure. Anyway, they'd hear the sound change as the hoof would hit the floor into the house, and they would hear, instead of hearing like a ksh, ksh, ksh on the gravel, they'd hear a on the, but slower, because it's not galloping through the house, it's just trotting, I think. It's a slow horse walk. I know very little about horses. Anyway, they'd hear the noise change and they'd hear it step past them, through them, and then they'd hear it go up the stairs, and then they'd hear it walk around on the landing through the night. So there must be some truth to it somewhere, because there's a fair few people there in one spot all experiencing the same thing. Now, horses are pretty big, innit, but an elephant's a lot bigger. You can't dispute that, because, that's a fact. Horses aren't as big as elephants. and they don't get much bigger than Topsy. Now, Topsy was a baby elephant, so they don't... Jumbo was a massive elephant, but I think Jumbo got killed as well, but I'm pretty sure this was about Topsy. I've just wrote down Elephant Ghost, and I kind of know this one off the top of my head. I think it was Topsy the elephant, right? It was the elephant that Thomas Edison had electrocuted to try and help disparage his business rival's reputation, which weirdly worked. It didn't turn people against Thomas Edison for electrocuting an elephant and filming it as some weird exotic snuff film and peddling it to the masses to try and freak out people against. I can't remember if Thomas Edison was direct current or AC or DC. I can't remember what type of current it was. But either way, he wanted to stop the other type of electricity because he'd already heavily invested, supposedly, in these businesses that would be able to push electricity around and it would make more money. I think it had something to do with copper as well. Anyway, I mean, one of these people killed an elephant with the opposite electricity method that he was selling, and everyone in America now has the psychopath's version of electricity rather than the only apparently dangerous electricity. But I'm no spark in it, and I'm not a scientist, and I wouldn't want to be either. These fucking dirty bastards. But I would argue that 6,600 volts of AC or DC, of any type of electricity, would fucking do some damage to a baby elephant. Might not always kill it, but it probably would. Especially when they connect it with copper wire and copper plates and wrap it round the elephant so there's no escape from it. Either way, I reckon that's going to fucking hurt an animal. It's going to hurt anything. You could probably fucking ruin a tree by putting that into a tree and damage the tree, set the tree on fire, you know. But if you're interested in seeing that, you could probably watch the video, I guess. I haven't, because, you know, I'm not a weirdo. I don't want to watch some guy fucking snuff out a fucking elephant. But none of that's important anyway. What is important is that this elephant is one of the best ways to prove that ghosts can actually be connected to things that have died, because this elephant still roams around Coney Island to this day, terrorising people in the streets, scaring the shit out of any potential poacher that may decide to visit the island. People hear the sounds of the elephant in the wind, you know, like a kind of noise, but more elephanty in the of the wind. You know, there's they might see the eyes glowing, and then hear the charging of footsteps coming towards them. You know, occasionally they might find these tusks that when you pick them up, they turn into snakes that fall to the ground and disappear into the floor. Alright, well, maybe I definitely made up the tusk bit in it, but the rest people have heard. But there was a woman, right, who did see ghost snakes, hooded cobras to be precise. So arguably, I would say one of the worst snakes to see unexpectedly, because they might not crush you to death, but they will spit venom on you from a distance and burn your skin and probably blind you. Now, I know that you're probably thinking in the Discord here, is a hooded cobra the worst sort of ghost snake to see? Surely an anaconda is the worst ghost snake to see. But an anaconda's massive, guys, and you got to use your head here. You got to think with common sense. If there is a ghost anacondas are great at disguising themselves anyway. There could be one in this cupboard and I probably wouldn't know for a while. But if you imagine an anaconda, there's a good chance that you're going to see part of that anaconda, but you're only going to see the body. The head's not going to see you. You know, it's fine. You're not at the business end of the anaconda. You could be at the back end, which, I mean, for a weirdo, the back end of a snake could be the business end. Irrelevant, completely irrelevant. This isn't about low hanging fruits and you know, toilet humour and jokes about shagging snakes. I'm trying to make a point. The hooded cobra, I would argue, is worse, because a hooded cobra could hide. Yeah, an anaconda can hide well, but a cobra, quite small, innit? Pretty small. It's not got the rattle of a rattlesnake, so you don't know it's there. It's sneaking up on you. It's hooded as well, so you can't see its face. Immediately makes it more intimidating, you know. David Cameron's obviously not made it to the ghost world yet to make them more acceptable in the public image. And it's that spitting acid, mate. If the ghost dogs can spit sulphur, it seems like a bit of a link, doesn't it? The sulphur vapours from the ghost dog earlier on. Except cobras are physical, innit? But cobras are reptile as well. So maybe there, you know, that could be a link between our actual reptiles and the ethereal reptiles that vampirise the... vampiricalise? Drain the life force of the population of the earth by, you know, holding on to your chakras. Anyway, The woman that saw this snake was, I think, the same woman that also saw the tiger on her bed with her husband, and the snake, I think, had a link to her husband, which is what's making me think it's the same woman, because of where he used to live, and he was a cobra apparently that he nursed back to health as well. Now I can't help but wonder if this husband was just trying to win the woman over. Maybe he told stories of his gallantry attempts of restoring animals, in the wilderness, and she gets, all excited for it, and rewards him, in the best way possible, with her recanting of one of her ghost stories, maybe. Anyway, speaking of vampiric reptiles, though, in Salisbury there is when a bishop dies, there's a tradition that when one of the church's bishops die, the locals often see big white birds fly around that don't have to flap their wings as they move, and then as they pass through trees and that, they disappear. You can't see them. They don't land anywhere. They just sort of fly over like drones, mate. And I think we've probably got a couple minutes here for ones that didn't have much of a story to them, but are worth a mention. So one of my favourites out of all of this, which I wish I could have found out more about, but there wasn't really more out there about it, was a white ghost dog. And this white ghost dog could actually transform itself into 4 large milk containers, which none of the others could do that, mate. None of the other ghosts could do that, which there's something special there about the white ghost dog, clearly. And there's very little else said about this specific ghost dog, but I thought it's unusual as well that it's white, because white-wise, there was a cat as well, and the guy that saw it tried to boot it away, which is a bit of a cunt move if you think it's a cat, especially weird if you think it's a ghost cat, because why the fuck would you want to anger a fucking paranormal entity? You don't know what it's capable of. But his foot went straight through the body of the cat, which seemed to confuse the ghost cat, by all accounts, and the cat grew bigger, slightly bigger, large, let's say half the size of a cat again, so still not intimidating, not scary, but it started to hop around like it was a rabbit, and now this freaked the bloke out a little bit. He admits this, but the bloke had no time for fucking around, so he kicked it again. And this seems to really piss off the hopping ghost cat, because it transforms into a massive sheep, which seemed to really freak the guy out, and he ran away, and he stopped trying to declare interdimensional warfare, which, is nice. It's weird that it would take a sheep to scare him away, but, there was a guy that was scared of sheep in 2 Pints of Lager. The character Gaz was scared of sheep, so maybe there's a link somewhere there, I'm not sure. Now, I don't believe he actually tried to kick it. I think this is just a fella trying to be like, oh yeah, I gave it the big un, mate. I booted that ghost, And especially doing it twice, because I would think to myself, if I did try to kick a cat and the foot went through the cat and it turned out that cat wasn't real and it was a ghost or a figment of my imagination, I'd probably try to touch it with my hand before I try and boot it again, just in case it is real. And you think, oh, I don't want to anger it, I don't want it to think I'm attacking it, because fucking imagine what this could do to me. My foot could pass through it, so it could just pass through my ribcage and grab my heart and fucking choke my heart out with its little paddy cat paws, I definitely wouldn't kick it fucking twice anyway. But interestingly, right, he says that during this experience, all the hairs on his body started standing on end, which again ties in these ethereal ghost creatures, ghost dogs, ghost cats, ghost tigers, etc., the yellow monkey, ties them all in with electricity again. And with Topsy as well, maybe that's what Topsy's a more overt example of, someone trying to prove, But because static electricity will make the hairs on your arms stand up like before a thunderstorm, like during a lightning storm, Now, another story, though, about a cat, and this cat reminded me a little bit of my Men in Black research and my Greys research from the other week, because this cat was accompanied by some obviously indescribable creature. Now, not in the way that H.P. Lovecraft used to say, it was totally an unfathomable creature of undescribable proportions, because he obviously didn't own a thesaurus, but in the way that the person who experienced this couldn't see the creature that was accompanying the cat, but they could see the cat, and they knew that this other thing was with it, but they couldn't quite see it. And this creature that was accompanying the ghost cat told the observer telepathically, "You cannot see me. You don't even know who I am." I don't know if it was in that such of a sinister voice, but it could have been in a nicer voice, like, "You cannot see me. You don't even know who I am, lad." Maybe, but just for the sake of building a bit of drama, "You cannot see me. You don't even know who I am." Now that to me also reminds me of some of the demon stuff I've read about. The idea that you need to know a demon's name to have power over it, to control it, kind of thing. Now in this story itself, the viewer had claimed to know this entity and to be able to see them, but they were told this in response. Now, other stories are worth of a mention. I mentioned before, I think at the top of the show, a little bit about birds, and I read a couple of stories about how birds don't tend to be seen, and dead birds can be omens, but to be seeing birds seems unusual. Ghost birds, apart from with the bishop, the dead bishop, and people normally hear the sound of ghost birds, not like scratching on the floor or tapping on the roof, but they'll hear birds chirping and they can't see the birds that are chirping. So obviously there must be a thing there for ghost birds around. But particularly though, there was some stories about ghost ravens and ghost crows, which all of this kind of ties in as well to why you would call them a murder of crows. So maybe it's just a folklore thing, I'm not sure. But these ghost crows and ravens were hanging around a church. But the birds were actually the ghosts of murderers who'd committed suicide. And what's annoying is wherever I looked for it, it was never properly explained. No helping guiding you to that either. It just tells you it as if it's set in stone, like this is what these are. Ghosts of ravens are the ghosts of murderers who've killed themselves. It's just odd, And another one that I read with very little information with it was that the ghost of a spectral hare. And what it does is it runs between your legs and it will often knock you over. Luckily, as long as you don't see it in Suffolk, though, you don't break any bones. But it'll also scare the shit out of your dog, which means that your dog can see it. Your dog can see the spectral hare, which actually this spectral hare as well is probably worth mentioning. That the spectral hare was actually the ghost of a witch that would show itself to the observer as a hare. Which, for those of you that aren't in the know, a hare is like a big rabbit. And there's a couple of other stories about ghost bears, which I think is probably one of the most intimidating animals, maybe, to see as a ghost, because it would really freak you out if you see a bear where there's not supposed to be a bear at the best of times. But I think they used to have a zoo in the Tower of London or a circus or something, and this bear was basically with the bear. It's hard to remember, but these people would see it in the Tower of London. It would chase them. They'd see it walking around. It'd scare them. There was this other one where I think it was with the bear, where you had to, when you'd see it, this woman got told by a circus performer, if the bear comes to you, the ghost bear, just blow in its face, mate. Professionally trained bears don't like it when you blow in the face. So there's a little tip to you that might work, might not work. If you do witness a ghost bear, blow in its face. Don't do it with a real bear. Follow the things that professionals say. But from a professional person talking about ghosts, which I'm quoting, I'm not the professional, I'm quoting the possible professional, blow in a ghost bear's face and it'll just walk away and leave you alone. Now, there was also a ghost cheetah, which, if you remember the woman with the dead tiger, the cheetah was actually the first ghost that the Carol Baskins of the spirit medium world ever saw. Because I'm guessing she probably killed her husband, this woman, as some form of experiment to see if she could converse with a dead husband rather than just with dead animals, like a Dr. Dolittle, a Dr. Death kind of Dolittle. I wish there was something there. I wish I'd already thought of something to make a joke about Dr. Dolittle, but I haven't got anything. She just spoke to fucking dead animals. Which we've all done. I speak through dead animals in a way, according to artists, and I also have that puppet of a fox's head, which I literally speak through sometimes, when the day is getting a little bit difficult for me. But anyway, it's weird that all of this woman's dead animal sightings seem to revolve around animals that seem African. But I mean, there's every chance that all of these stories are set in Africa. I'm not overly sure. I don't remember where they were. I don't think they were set in Africa, because a lot of the stuff in the book seems to be about the UK. So it seems odd that you would then throw in this story from Africa and repeatedly go for the same woman from Africa. Seems odd. But there's every chance that, they could be, or maybe they just kept making reference to her husband, because they did talk about her husband used to live in Africa, I think it was. So maybe that's where he encountered all these animals. Maybe he didn't just live in a weird zoo or something. But not much information though about the woman herself either, which is annoying, because, she's the one that can see the ghost animals. I want to learn about her. I don't want to learn about her fucking husband that's lying in bed sniffing toast. I want to hear about the woman that can speak to fucking, You know, a ghost cheetah get messages from fucking cats and that, you know. Anyway, let's have a song. This is Day Ones by Fat Joe Dre and Big Bank DTA. And lastly, before I leave you, we've got the story of the anaesthetised cat, which is just a knocked out cat, basically. That's what that means. I might be saying it wrong. A cat that's had some form of injection to knock it out. Now, the lady of the house boxes up a poorly cat and takes it to the vets, whilst her husband's entertaining some guests at their house. So let's imagine these guests are women. You know, it adds a little bit of drama for any of the female listeners. So this guy is possibly cheating on his wife while she's fretting about that Mittens is going to die today. And all of a sudden, back at home, the fella's talking about the cat, interacting with the cat, and, you know, pointing at the cat. And it's quite possibly here where he fucks up both relationships, because it turns out there was actually no cat there to be pointed at, and that his guest couldn't see this cat. And the cat died at the vets, and it's believed that the cat managed to astrally project to its home to spend its last moments at home with what I presume was its favourite owner. Obviously the one who didn't take it to the vets to die. And I feel like in that there's a lesson in there somewhere. Right, keep the app on for a bit of Gary until HDR, and Jim will mix it. If you want to learn more stuff, you know, I'll be back on tomorrow night at 7 PM with Jimmy Budd for Truth Seeking. Thanks for listening, guys. I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks for listening, man. If you enjoyed the show, give it a share online, you know, share it in your Instagram stories from Spotify, send it to a mate, talk about it on social media, tweet me, mate, tweet me. When I get 2,000 followers on Twitter, I'll be doing a taxidermy giveaway, so, you know, that's something for you, innit? That's a little something. @WorldAroundYou, same as the name of the show. I'll see you in a bit, mate.